So when we look around the world and in Australia and in South Australia, what we see is a relatively low number of women in positions of power, in positions as decision makers or in positions of policy makers. So we know in our parliament, for example, our federal parliament, there are a minority of women. We know in state parliaments there are minorities of women. And when we look at the public service, when we look at not-for-profits, when we look at corporate organisations, there are, I think, about a third the amount of women as men in high leadership positions. So until that situation changes, it's going to be difficult to achieve any kind of equality when it comes to gender. We know that some boards of directors have quotas now, and that's one way to try and even up the gender balance. In my experience, sometimes that can be tokenistic when we elect women to boards, but their voices are still not really being heard around the table. And I think in that situation, it's up to other women to be strong for one another and create opportunities for women's voices to be heard, but to be listened to as well. So quotas are a start, but we still really aren't seeing the representation of women at the high level that we need to. And one of the issues there, I think, is that we need more role models and mentors for our younger women coming through. They need to see people to look up to and understand their journeys of how they became leaders and what it takes to see themselves one day fulfilling a similar role. So it's a bit chicken and egg, but we've made a start in Australia and we definitely strongly need to see that continue. It's interesting at this time of coronavirus in Australia, we're seeing around the country a lot of our public health officers come to the fore, many of whom are women. And these are sometimes people that generally the public wouldn't know. They wouldn't know their names, they wouldn't know their faces. And we're hearing from some of them every day, especially in some of our eastern states where coronavirus has become worse. When I speak to male colleagues, it's really interesting when they start discussing the virus and for some reason these women's names come up in conversation. And some of my male colleagues are very busy commenting on their appearance or their hair or their fashion sense. And when I challenge those views and say, why are we commenting about the way this person looks or what they're wearing, they are quite taken aback. For my view, I want a woman who's highly intelligent and a critical thinker and a good communicator in those roles. And that's what these women are. What this example tells me is that we've got a very, very long way to go when it comes to gender equality in Australia. We are doing better than some of the other countries, but when I hear comments like that, it reminds me of just how far we have to go of getting more women in leadership roles, getting more women well educated and armed with the knowledge and examples they need to thrive in that environment.